Okay, again, I just see specifically Chola. You need to just make sure that you know that you are being recorded. Okay, so Prof. Botha, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Stander. Good morning again. Can I please ask you to give me sharing rights? Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to put on my camera for a few seconds so that you can see the face behind the voice this morning. Good morning to all the academics, students, and all other stakeholders, and also welcome from my side. And thank you so much, Dr. Karen, to invite me again to address your Honours Study School. I want to share with you before I start, because my job is to talk about teams and how we can make teams more effective and the roles of teams. But before I do so, I want to actually share with you a very interesting article that I came across only yesterday. And it also speaks to it actually speaks to the previous speakers' inputs. And I think a lot of that was warning us against all these hackers. But this particular article that I want to share with you also indicates what companies are willing to pay for data. So can you see my screen? Just indicate, please. Can you see my screen, Dr. Karen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So companies are really prepared to pay a lot of money for our information as individuals. And they do it for two reasons. Firstly, for advertising, and also, secondly, according to this article, is to make certain predictions. How good the new, for example, a new product will do in the market, which market, target market should they focus all their efforts on, because companies are paying millions for advertising, and this data, this personal data of ours, assists them in knowing where to, the correct characteristics of their target market, and then also to channel the spending on advertisements in a more effective manner. But what I want to share with you is the following: how much data is worth the most. Credit card data, and you can see the average dark web price is top of the list. Then also payment processing services like PayPal, and you can, it's actually mind-boggling to see that they're willing to pay $1,000 per individual. Crypto accounts, social media accounts, and then also database dumps. And then the last one for me was particularly of interest, the US voter database. Luckily, we don't see South African voter database on this list, but it just shows you how careful one must be, not only for hackers, but social media platforms that basically see this as a stream of income, because they basically sell our individual personal information to companies for these various reasons. So this is just for interesting stake, and also to latch on with the previous speaker. So, okay, my name is Tertia Botha, as indicated, and I will be talking to you about teamwork and how to get the best results from teamwork. Now, we are all basically part of a team somewhere. In your household, you are part of a team. Team members are responsible for certain tasks and activities. Some bring in the money, the financial resources. Others are just there piggybacking on that and do other kinds of things. But the fact is, we all are part of a team, whether it is an informal team formed in our households or at your church or at the social club. But these teams can also be formal teams. And you as an honors student will now definitely be part of a formal team where you need to contribute something and also to play a certain role in that team. The hard part is you didn't select your team members. It is selected for you. So you need to make this team work. So let's look at that. Let's start with a definition of what is teamwork then. So teamwork refers to team members working collaboratively to achieve a goal. Teamwork requires them to cooperate, use their individual skills, and provide constructive feedback, despite any conflict between them. So I'm sure you will agree with me. This is a loaded definition of teamwork. Let's unpack it and see what it basically says in this many words. First of all, teams need to work collaboratively. So collaboration between each and every team member is necessary to be defined to meet the requirements of a team. You cannot have 10 team members, 9 is working collaboratively, and 1 person is just picking back on all the other members. So the first requirement to be defined as a team, you need to work collaboratively. Secondly, the team is there to achieve a goal. So let's focus now on the formal teams. You will certainly have a goal for your teamwork. The biggest goal, I would say, is to complete your studies successfully. The time frame is important, whether you want to do it over 1 year or 2 years. That's depending on each individual. But each team will have a clear understanding of what it is they want to achieve. And that is academic success, I think, for all of us. Thirdly, team members need to cooperate to be defined as a team. So you cannot work on your own, disregard all other team members, see your own goal as the only goal. You need to cooperate with all other team members. Then for me, especially of importance, is the use of individual skills. Each one of you will be bringing to the team various skills. So if you look at this in an academic context, some students love research. They love gathering data, make sense of that, and write reports. Others are more creative. They want to basically be part of, say, for instance, designing a questionnaire, not really very interested in the outcomes, but design it and put in questions that are captivating and that motivate respondents to complete a questionnaire. Another team member may have the skill of really presenting the work of a team in a excellent manner by using software skills, their own creative abilities. So all of the team members have different individual skills. And I think the most important thing is for an effective team is to recognize there are various individual skills that maybe differ between people, and then use your team members for their individual skills. If one is really good, as I said, in putting all your work together and make it a very attractive document to read, use that individual team member for that particular task. So it's important to recognize all team members come with various skills, but still we need to make it work within the team. Then, just as important, team members provide constructive feedback. So I think the most important thing is in postgrad studies is whenever you receive feedback, never take it personally. Constructive feedback means I do give you feedback. I may criticize the work, not the person, but it's constructive feedback. I cannot simply say your work is unacceptable. How would you feel as a student when a lecturer tells you your work is unacceptable? You need to provide constructive feedback. I do not agree with what you're saying here. Please consider rephrasing or give a bit more background that can improve our document. So teamwork is about providing constructive feedback, not criticism, constructive feedback. And then lastly, manage conflict. This on its own tells us there will be conflict in teams. Conflict is not always a bad thing. It can be a very good thing to really be on the outlook for ways to improve our work. It may be to bring our work to a total different level, higher level as it was before, but we need to manage conflict. Again, personal conflict between individuals with emotions running high, that's not acceptable in teamwork. We need to focus on our goal and the work that needs to be done in order to achieve the goal. So there will be conflict, but it needs to be managed within your teams. So teams work collaboratively. They work towards the achievement of a goal. They cooperate with one another. They use individual skills and use people for their strengths, not their weaknesses. Teams provide constructive feedback, not really criticism. And then lastly, we need to be aware that there will be conflict amongst team members, and then we need to manage it. So that's our loaded definition of what a team is and what differs it from, for example, a group. A group will just, that's something else. We don't want to talk about that today. We will focus on teamwork. It's also important to know the various stages of team development. So as I said before, you in your church or in your friendships, you might choose your team members. But in this instance, you will be putting a team member in a certain team that was decided for you, and you don't have any control over that. So these stages of team development, it is very important also to be mindful of these stages and to manage these stages. So the first stage, I'm sure you've done this also on undergraduate level, but now you need to apply it in your studies. So first of all, teams will form. You will meet your team members and you will learn about the project. So the overall project in your case is to graduate at the end of the year and complete your qualification. The project can be broken down in various sub-projects. You need to pass and do well and in each module. In each module, there will be assignments that you need to complete, and you need your team to complete those assignments. So there could be various projects that you will work on as a team. So this is the forming stage. You meet your team members and you learn about your project. The second one, there's a reason they are calling it storming. Everybody can have, or every team member can have various ideas. So let's focus on one type of project, and that is the completion of an assignment. And you need to work as a team to complete that assignment. So the storming stage can be very difficult. And I can honestly say this is the most difficult part of the stages of team development, because each team member may have a different idea on how to complete this assignment. That may be in sharp contrast to another team member's ideas. So in this stage, team members work without collaboration. Each maybe have his or her own idea how to complete the project, but somehow we need to start to work together. And that's where the third phase, namely norming, comes into place. So at this stage, team members start to work together. Also very important in the norming stage, team roles should become very clear. There should be, in your case, a team leader. There must be somebody that takes the responsibility of collating all the inputs of the team members. making sure they do what is expected of them and that what they have agreed upon as a team. And then also, very importantly, to adhere to due dates. You know how important it is to submit your assignments on the various due dates that's been given. So norming starts to develop. Team members at this stage, each one should know what his or her role is in the team. And very importantly, there must be a team leader. Also part of the norming stage is the development of values and beliefs for the group or the team. So in the previous session, and I know you've also touched on that yesterday, the group or the team needs to decide we will present, for example, our own original work. We will consult various artificial intelligence sources. We will consult prescribed books, study guides made available by UNISA. But part of our values and who we are as a team is to present our work as our own individual and not as our team efforts that is original and that belong to our team. So this is also part of the norming stage. So this brings us hopefully to the performing stage of the team. So then they function well as a unit. Why? Because they know what their goal is. They work collaboratively. They know what the values of the team are, and also they know what part do I need to play to be an effective team member. And very importantly, the team has got a team leader that oversees the inputs of the team as a whole. So at this stage, the team will be performing hopefully well as a unit. After completion of the work, in this case our assignment, we move on to the next project. What is our next assignment to complete? What is our next module to complete? So this is theoretically what teams stages go through when they develop. This is now presented on the slide as a linear process from forming to storming to norming to performing and adjourning. But that doesn't mean you might not jump back to previous stages. When you get to the norming stage, for instance, team members may be disgruntled, they will maybe not satisfied with the team leader, which will lead them to go back one step to the storming stage, where they do not work collaboratively, effectively, and productively. So the process is not really linear. You can go back into steps, and then that needs to be managed all the time. So except then for completing your project, your assignment, or successfully completing your module, you will also learn in this qualification how to work together as an effective team. So now we can ask, what are the dimensions of high-performing teams? If we know now what are the stages that teams go through, what does it need to be a high-performing team? What do we need to do to get good marks for the assignment, each assignment, to pass the module and to also complete our qualification? The first is to have a clear, elevating goal. So what is the goal of the team? We don't want a goal just to pass. That's not an elevating goal. We want a goal to do well in all our modules, or at least in the modules we need to collaborate as a team to provide outputs. So we start off by defining a clear, elevating goal. Secondly, we now need a structure. And remember our previous slide, it says we first work without collaboration and then we start to work together. So to work together, we need a results-driven structure. So we need to create a structure in the team that will support the goal. And the structure, having team members, assigned to different activities that need to be completed in order to reach our elevating goal. And we also need a team leader to, as I said before, to bring all the outputs together and to make sure that we attain the clear elevating goal. So to be results driven, we also need problem resolution. We need to be creative and we need to be tactical. We can't now have big dreams and pie in the sky goals and objectives. We need to stick down to what is expected in terms of problem resolution. We need to be creative in that, and team members also need to act tactically. You need to sit down and do the literature study. You need to sit down and compile a questionnaire, etc., etc. So coupled with that, define the roles, responsibilities and accountabilities of the team members and performance measures. This is one of the crucial things, in my opinion, in terms of the groups or the teams that you will be working in. There must be roles clearly defined and also the responsibilities. And why do I say that? If one member does not perform, it needs to be identified well in advance. You don't want input from a team member a day before the due date of an assignment and only then to realize the responsible team member did not do his or her part. So there need to be performance measures in place and also time attached to that. Earliest completion time and the latest completion time in order to measure performance. Then we need to communicate effectively. And once again, the team leader will play a very important role in terms of communication. If each and every team member knows his or her role, responsibilities, and accountabilities, it needs to be communicated effectively by the team leader to each and every member of the team. And then implement a monitoring and feedback system. Again, feedback, not criticism, constructive feedback is really important in terms of teamwork and effective teamwork. And this feedback must provide an accurate appraisal of individual performance. Remember, as a team, your performance as a team will be evaluated by your module lecturers. But accurate appraisal of individual performance need to take place within the team. Why? Because in the previous steps we said roles, responsibilities and accountabilities needs to be clearly articulated. And then, of course, fact-based judgments. I cannot criticize or give feedback if it's on a personal level. I don't like this team member from day one, and therefore I will not agree with any of his or her outputs. That's not going to make your team an effective team or a high-performing team. So any judgments, any comments made must be fact-based. Then you will have a results-driven structure in your team. Then competent team members, this is not really within your control, but just be mindful to get on an honest level. Students are only admitted to this qualification having a certain undergraduate qualification with certain marks. So all team members are competent. They should have the necessary knowledge in terms of theory, the application of the theory, and also personal characteristics to work well as a team member. There's nothing wrong with somebody that prefers working on their own. I think per definition, academics prefer to work on their own. We collaborate in very small teams, 2 or maximum 3 get together, work on a research project. Once the project is completed, we disband and everybody's going back to their little corners and work alone. But in this instance, you basically do not have a choice than working in a team. So it's also important to learn that ability, that competency to work well as a team member. As I said in the beginning, we are all part of informal and formal teams, and we need to be good team players. Then the fourth dimension is a unified commitment. Team members need to invest mental and physical energy in the team. So why physical? Well, it will take many hours of the night. Public holidays we work, over weekends we work, and we also invest a lot of mental energy into the team. That's why it's so difficult to have team members not contributing what they need to, because the rest of the team will feel we invest a lot of mental and physical energy into the team, and we expect that from all the team members. So it's important also to recognize that we need to respect our co-team members and also do our part. Do what is expected of you, meet your responsibilities, and be accountable then in the end for your outputs. So identification of each team member to the team, that means that you should be proud to be a member of the team. You should be able to identify with the team as an individual team member. And that will also latch onto what we said earlier. The norming stage is where the values and the various roles are determined into a team. So it should be formulated in such a way that each team member can identify with the team. You should be proud to be part of the team, your goals, and what you will deliver as an output. Right, then there should be a collaborative climate amongst all team members. That means honesty. If you identify as a team leader somebody that is not contributing enough mental and physical energy, you should be open and honest about that. Otherwise, the entire team will be demotivated and cannot do their best. Very important, trust and respect. Now we know that should be earned, respect and trust amongst team members. So each team member, without knowing each other, without really knowing the team leader, actually first need to earn the respect and trust of the co-team members. How do you do that? You do that by fulfilling your role assigned to you, attaining your responsibilities, and be accountable for what you bring to the group. So that will create honesty, openness, and trust. You know, trust, that we can never overemphasize respect and trust. Trust takes time and respect takes time to earn it. But in a few seconds, you can lose all the trust and respect. So I want to quickly show you a video that is presented by one of the most influential speakers on various platforms, TEDx show and whatever, Simon Sinek, and his views on the importance of trust in making teams work. So it is a very short video. It's only 9 minutes. I hope you can hear and see it clearly.
Prof,
Yes.
when you share, you need to make sure that you share your computer sound as well. I learned it on Monday.
Okay. So can't you hear?
No, so you have to reshare your screen and then you say share with computer audio. It's a little button in the top.
Okay. Let me do that. Thank you, Prof. Dr. Karen, let me just see. Okay, I've stopped sharing. So you say, I say share, and then Lauren.
I'm talking and then there's no sound, sorry.
Okay.
Share
Oh, and
content
include sound.
yes.
Ah, okay, I've got it. Okay.
Like we can always tell when someone's working on commission, right? You can kind of feel
Now
it.
let me just start from the beginning.
Up at the Four Seasons out there, which is a beautiful hotel. And one of the reasons it's a wonderful hotel is not because of the fancy beds. Any hotel can buy a fancy bed. The reason the Four Seasons is a fantastic hotel is because of the people who work there. That when you roam the halls and somebody says hello, you get the distinct feeling that they wanted to say hello, not that they were told to say hello. We're highly tuned social animals. We can tell the difference. It's like we can always tell when someone's working on commission, right? You can kind of feel it, right? We can tell the difference when somebody's genuinely being friendly or not. They happen to have a coffee bar in the lobby there at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas, and one afternoon I went and bought myself a cup of coffee. And there was a barista working that day named Noah. Noah was funny and engaging, charming. I spent far too long standing there buying my cup of coffee because I just so enjoyed talking to Noah. So, as is my nature, I asked Noah a question. I said, "Do you like your job?" And without skipping a beat, Noah said, "I love my job." Now, in my line of business, that's significant because like is rational. I like the people I work with, I like the job, I like the challenge, I get paid well, I like my job. Love is emotional. It's a higher order connection. Do you love your wife? I like her a lot, right? There's a difference.
Hello to our African energy community. We can't wait to welcome you to Solo and Story.
Noah said, "I love my job." My ears perked up. He has an emotional connection to this company. This is interesting. So I immediately follow up and I said, "Tell me specifically what the Four Seasons is doing that you would say to me you love your job." Without skipping a beat, Noah said that throughout the day, managers will walk past him and ask him how he's doing, ask him if there's anything that he needs to do his job better. Not just his manager, any manager. And then he also said, "I also work at Caesar's Palace. And there, the managers walk past us and catch us when we're doing things wrong and make sure that we're making the numbers and performing. And there, I like to just keep my head below the radar and get through the day and collect my paycheck." He said, "Only at the Four Seasons do I feel I can be myself." This is the exact same human being. And yet the customer service experience that we would have meeting him at one hotel or the other will be profoundly different, not because of the person, but because of the leaders, because of the leadership environment in which he's been asked to work. I get this question all the time. "Simon, how do we get the most out of our people?" They're not a towel. We don't wring them out to see how much we can get out of our people. It's a flawed question, which means we're going to get flawed answers. The correct question is, how do we create an environment in which our people can work at their natural best? And the answers will be profoundly different. If you do not have trusting teams, what you do have is a group of people who show up to work every single day lying, hiding, and faking. Remember, a trusting team is when people feel safe. It's a trusting team is when people feel they can be vulnerable amongst their own. They can raise their hand and say, "I made a mistake." Or, "You've promoted me to a position where I don't really know what to do. I think I need more training." Or, "I'm having troubles at home and it's affecting my work." Or, "I'm scared." Or, "I need help." Without any fear of humiliation, without any fear of retribution. In fact, they say these things with confidence that their leader, their boss, their colleagues will rush to them to support them. If you do not have trusting teams, what you have is a group of people who show up to work every day who will hide mistakes for fear of getting in trouble. They will not admit that you promoted them to a position and they actually have no clue what they're doing. They're going to just keep faking it. They would never tell you that they're suffering undue stress because of something that's happening at home and that it's affecting their work. They're not going to tell you that they're scared, and they're definitely not going to ask for help for fear that they will find themselves on some short list for the next round of redundancies. And eventually, cracks will show up, and eventually the organization will break. Not because of the people, but because of the leaders leading those people. We know what this looks like in the extreme. I'm sure you all remember a couple of years ago, United Airlines had an incident where they dragged a paying customer off their aircraft with a broken nose, broken teeth, and a concussion. I feel sorry for every single member of that crew because 100% of them knew that that was the wrong thing to do, but none of them spoke up. None of them intervened because they feared getting in trouble more than doing the right thing. They did not work on trusting teams. This was not an anomaly. This was a steady build over the course of years that eventually culminated in an event like that. I was witness to a scene that played out years before with United Airlines that gave a flag that something was wrong. A scene played out in front of me as I was preparing to board a plane where one of the passengers attempted to board the aircraft before their group number was called, which, as you all know, is a serious crime. And that is exactly how the gate agent treated this passenger. "Step aside, sir. I haven't called your group yet. Please step aside and wait till I call your group," is how she talked to a paying customer. And so I spoke up. I said, "Why do you have to talk to us that way? Why can't you talk to us like we're human beings?" And she looked me in the eye and said, "Sir, if I don't follow the rules, I could get in trouble or lose my job." What she revealed to me is that she does not feel safe in her own organization. Her leaders do not trust her to do the job for which she's been trained to do. And guess who suffers? Company, customer, and her. The reason we love flying Virgin Atlantic, for example, is not because they have some magical formula to hire all the best people. It's because the people who work there feel safe in their own jobs. They feel trusted to do the job for which they've been trained to do. And guess who benefits? Customer, company, and the people who work there. It is a leader's responsibility to set an environment. Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. Leaders are not responsible for the results. They're responsible for the people who are responsible for the results. And if you get the environment right, you get people like Noah. If you get the environment wrong, you get people like Noah. It's not the people, it's the leaders. Almost always when there are performance issues, almost always when there are customer service issues, it's so rarely the people. Yes, we have anomalies, of course. But if on balance you find that there's issues, it's almost always the leadership and the leadership environment, and usually it's the lack of trusting teams. The job of leadership is to create trusting teams, and if you want to play in the infinite game, you must have trusting teams. One of the worst things about trusting teams is how you build them, because they're not traditional in the sense that we set a target, we're going to build our teams of trust, and we set out to build them. It's more of a practice. It's like getting into shape. It's like going to the gym. Yes, you want to get into shape. Unfortunately, you can't go to the gym for 9 hours and get into shape. It won't work. But if you commit yourself to go to the gym every single day for 20 minutes, 100% you'll get into shape. "Simon, how long is it going to take me to get into shape?" I don't know. And that's the problem. Some will respond quickly and some will respond slowly, and there is no formula, but we all 100% know that the process works. We 100% know that if you work out every single day for 20 minutes and eat healthily, 100% of us will get into shape. It's the same in leadership. There's no 5 magical things that I can tell you to do. There's no one-day course you can go take or one offsite you can have with your team, and all of a sudden they become trusting teams. Yes, those things are important, but they're part of a process that we trust in. That process is called leadership. Leadership is a lifestyle. And even when you achieve your goal, even when you get into shape, even when the trusting teams are built, unfortunately, you have to keep going to the gym for the rest of your life. It's a lifestyle. Leadership is a lifestyle. And the purpose of that lifestyle is to produce teams who take care of each other, who love each other, and feel valued and valuable in the organization where they work. That is your job.
Okay, let me just share the other screen. So what can we take from this video? surely Simon is focusing on teams in an organizational context, but the same principles apply to your teams. And I think what stands out for me is respect and trust go hand in hand. So each team member must respect him or herself firstly, and respect the other team members. Committed to the team. So if there's no team commitment, there will not be any trust. And then also he speaks a lot about leaders and responsible leaders. So can you see how important it is for you as a group to identify the leader? Because that leader will not only check and tick boxes of deliverables, but that leader will play a very important role, and we will get back to leadership in a bit. But such a leader will play an enormous role in creating a safe environment for all team members. We know life happens. We know people are working, having a family and studying all at the same time. We know your kids can get sick. So we are basically vulnerable, but there needs to be such a high level of respect and trust amongst team members. The team members will feel safe and saying, listen, I've got a problem. Please help. Please help. I don't understand what I really are supposed to do. So that openness, honesty, respect, and trust also apply to the teams that you will be working with. There should be no fear in the team. The only fear would be to fail and not to reach your goals. But there are so many advantages of having an open and honest values and respect and trust in your teams. So that basically make up a collaborative environment, and the important role of commitment of each team member. Then standards of excellence. Well, to be an excellent team, you will need excellent team members. So individual standards are important to set that. So that, I think, is a responsibility of each team member. And eventually it will be added up to get to the standard of the team. So team pressure can also develop during the course of doing what you are supposed to do, especially before a due date, before you write an exam. So there will be consequences of not being committed and not really then delivering what is expected of each team member. Then I think we need to stand a bit still at the last dimension of high-performing teams, and that is principled leadership. So prioritize with care. The leader needs to identify the very most important activities that need to be completed in the best possible way to attain the goals of the team. It's also the leader's responsibility to motivate team members. A leader cannot, on the day which all team members need to submit their work, be in contact with them or try to motivate them. This is an ongoing process. Like Simon indicated in the video, you cannot get fit by exercising 9 hours in a gym and then think you are now fit enough to run the comrades. No, it is an ongoing process that basically never ends up until the stage that all your goals have been attained. So motivation of the team members is one of the core roles of the leader. Be fair and impartial. There's no room for being unfair or being partial to certain team members. And then the team leader also need to be willing to confront and resolve team issues. During the course of the semester or year, when there are team members that do not play their part, who do not submit work timely and of high quality, these are team issues, and the team leader should address that, especially poor performance. But then once again, the principled leader will be open to new ideas and information. So once again, it's a fluid process. If you develop team objectives right at the beginning, and we said this, what we need to do to have a good assignment and to submit an excellent answer, these can change over time by bringing in new ideas in terms of how we're going to do it. It might change the whole course of answering your assignment. So the leader must be open to new ideas and new information as the information comes along. After all, you are busy with studies and you need to learn as you go along. So just to summarize, what are the dimensions of a high-performing team? A high-performing team has a clear, elevating goal. It's got a results-driven structure. It's got competent team members, a unified commitment. There's a collaborative climate where people feel safe and they can be vulnerable when the time comes and when life happens. So collaborative climate, standards of excellence, and then lastly, the very crucial role that the principled leader play in a high-performing team. I want to conclude our session with the last slide, and that is what makes now teams become ineffective. So we call it barriers to effective teamwork. First of all, ineffective leadership. If there's no leader that is in constant communication with team members, that motivate them, that gives constructive feedback, you will have an ineffective leadership position and it will be a barrier to effective teamwork. There can be goal confusion where individual team members are not sure exactly what is expected of them. And then it is the role of the leader to clarify that, make it a safe environment where everybody can say, any team member can say, I don't understand. I really don't understand what I'm supposed to do. Please help me. And that brings us to poor communication and communication gaps. Poor communication is a recipe for disaster in any group. So also then a lack of trust, accountability issues, and then lastly, poor conflict resolution skills. Once again, the leader of the team play a decisive role in the conflict resolution. He or she need to have those skills, but also amongst team members, there can be conflict and you need to manage it. Remember what we said earlier, conflict is not always bad. It is sometimes a good thing to bring in new ideas as long as you give constructive feedback and do not criticize a person, but as an individual, but always remember we are talking about the work and the outputs of the team. It's not on a personal level. So these are the barriers to effective teamwork. It ties nicely in with the dimensions of high-performing teams. And I can really say I commend Dr. Karen on really developing this particular qualification, this particular module, because it doesn't only teach you what is expected academically, but you will also be in a position to really establish whether you are a good team player, or you maybe have the abilities and the competencies to be a principled leader, and where you can improve on these skills. Because as we've said in the beginning, you will be part of a team no matter where you go, whether it's formal or informal. So that's my part, Dr. Karen. I think we've got time maybe for a bit of a few questions maybe.
Yes, definitely. I said the students are really interacting while you are speaking, Prof.
Okay.
Yeah, some
yeah,
of
I
them.
see.
Yeah, it's nice. I
Yeah.
do like it that they are not just listening and that they are interacting. I love this group, I must say. It's been a fun week so far. I see that people, the one student actually said she loves her work and how the other students feel about it. And then some of them are experiencing toxic environments and things like that. If you've got any questions or comments or want to add to the conversation, please raise your hands. Let's have a conversation about it. They say there are situations that are terribly toxic. I've been
Yes.
in a work environment that was so toxic that I ended up doubting my own abilities.
Yeah, that is sad. That is very sad, and I think we can all relate to that. You know, the thing is, I think we must never underestimate the role of leaders and principled leaders. People need leaders. Since you are born, your parents are your leaders. Then you've got siblings. Then you go to school, and there's always leaders. So leaders basically create the environment and a trusting and safe environment. So the moment it becomes toxic, it is very hard to survive, firstly, and to thrive in such an environment. And sometimes the only way out is just to leave the situation. And because to turn a big ship, a Titanic, around, it is very hard work. It requires of leaders, senior leaders, to acknowledge they made mistakes. Yesterday, sorry, I'm constantly now referring back to yesterday. I'm busy writing a chapter in a management book on information management and decision making. And one of the reasons that research indicate why leaders make poor decisions, they want to cover up past poor decisions. So if they made a decision in the past, this is how we're going to do it. They are very reluctant to backtrack on that and to admit they made a mistake and to implement steps to rectify it. And that's why I say sometimes the only way is to leave the situation if it's really become so toxic and you see no way of rectifying that. But yeah, so that's just highlights the importance of trust and respect in a working environment, and especially if you're working in a team. All right. Anything else that you want to ask? Our time is almost up.
They just say it's a great presentation. It's just they also comment that it's not always so easy to leave a toxic environment.
No, because you need to find another opportunity before you can leave, and that's not so easy, especially in our country. No, it is not. It is not. But I also think as an individual, you can make a difference by living your values and norms and beliefs in an environment. And also, luckily, our labor laws are of the best in the world that do allow for individuals to speak up and be protected in the process.
Prof, and then there's a question: how do you approach the situation in a team when there's more than one person that wants to be the team leader?
I will go to a vote. Make a democratic decision, and then the person that received the largest number of votes is then clearly the person that the rest of the team wants as the leader. But that's great. Yeah, if you have more than one volunteer.
Yeah, make do a pitch and tell the team why you want to be leader,
Yes.
and the other person as well, and then you make a vote about it.
Yeah, that's how they do it in schools. You make yourself available. You avail yourself as a leader. You make a pitch, as Dr. Karen said, and then take it to the vote. How big are the teams, more or less, this year?
They're going to be 5, Prof.
Okay.
Yeah, between 5. I'm doing it a bit differently this year than in the past. We're going to randomly let Moodle group them into teams. So there might be that it says you can select the option to avoid small groups in the end. So there might be a few groups of 4.
Okay, but that's a nice number to work with. Yes.
Yeah, and guys, let me tell you, it's not easy. To me, I'll give you a consult. It's not easy to come through the storming stage.
Mm.
But you need to push through and you get there. If there's problems, please let me know early as well. It doesn't help to come next year, January, and tell me, but the team didn't like my inputs and weren't considering anything. There's nothing I can do in January. Okay, I can intervene, and we did. Prof. Bertha helped me, and we did intervene last year when we were made aware of the problems. But we aren't everywhere. We can't read emails that aren't sent. So send the emails and communicate. And this is also part of the purpose of Honors Week, is so that you guys get used to the idea that we are here and we are willing to communicate with you. The days of Unisa just throwing being a correspondence university where you throw things over a wall and then somebody throws it back is long gone. We are a e-learning institution. We are here to help you, just like Prof. Botha is here today to help you understand this thing.
Okay, yeah, I see one of the other comments is people that's got knowledge of the labor laws can manipulate the situation too. That is true. So all that I can comment on that is keep records. Put everything on paper so that there's a paper trail with evidence.
Yeah.
And yeah, that we didn't study the law. We are not lawyers for various reasons, but unfortunately keep record of everything. And also don't engage in one-on-one personal conversations and conflict situations. That's dangerous. Also one of the barriers to good decision making is making it is to not having the ability to take emotions out of decisions. And I think this goes for teamwork as well. We all are emotional. We are human beings. But in such situations, you need to take the emotions out. And the rule, never cry on paper. When you receive an email, you can type your response, type your heart out, but don't send it. The next day, you read it again and again, and you will see how many changes you will make the following day after sleeping about it. So make sure how you respond and take all emotions out of any response. One of our slides spoke to base your feedback on facts. So that goes with the same with a toxic environment, conflict in the workplace. Never react emotionally and base all your arguments and statements on facts, not on emotions. We've learned the hard way, didn't we, Dr. Stander?
No, definitely. Never send an email when you're upset.
When you're upset, no, because it's so much easier to put it on the email than to confront somebody. And that's where the danger lies. Don't put any emotion in any communication. And if it's really that toxic, you always need to have a witness present. If
You
you
can always
if it's
ask
possible.
AI to rewrite your email in a professional manner and remove all the emotion from the email.
From the email, yes, and acknowledge the AI's
Yes.
contribution.
So there's always that possibility. Tumelo, you had a question earlier.
Thank you, Dr. Stander. Okay, first of all, let me thank Professor Botha for your presentation. We've learned quite a lot. Just my question for Professor Botha is, lately there's this concept of quiet quitting, whereby you find that
I know.
people,
Yes.
people
Yes.
who are also in maybe toxic environments will rather,
They
lie
quit
low
quietly.
and not rock the boat because
Yes.
they realize that maybe I don't have an option to find something else. So I
Yeah.
rather lie low. So please share your thoughts and comments on this. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Tumelo. It is so appropriate because the quiet quitter will not put up a hand volunteering to be part of any team. He or she will just do the bare minimum to earn the salary, not getting into trouble, but will not be committed to the team. So a non-committed member, as I said, will do only the bare minimum. So again, I think the team leader plays here a crucial role in finding the reasons for quiet quitters, and also then to make sure. Yeah, my philosophy has always been use people for their strengths, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. If I might take the academic environment, because that's what I'm familiar with, if I need to manage an academic department, and some people believe academics are unmanageable, but that's partly true. But we are supposed to do certain things. We are supposed to teach. We are supposed to be good researchers, be academic citizens, and so forth and so on. As a leader and as a manager, I honestly think that one should then use people for their best skills, for their passions in life. If one lecturer is thriving on doing research, writing articles, great, that's one of your KPIs, you concentrate on that. The other one is not interested at all. I'm here to teach. Great, do that. But create an environment, an enabling environment for everybody. So now I'm actually speaking to the leaders and the managers. But also the quiet quitter are also now expected, if the leaders and managers now succeed in creating this environment, then they also need to come to the party and be committed and really do their best to attain the goals of the team, and then eventually the organization or whatever we are talking about. But it is a very big phenomenon. I think also with remote working, not seeing people on a daily basis also contributes to this, because it's becoming harder for leaders and managers to hold everything together and to keep all this balls in the air and not dropping some of them. So thank you for that question. I hope I've answered it.
No, thank you very much. Thanks.
Then it's Nimrla.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this informative session. It's much appreciated. Further to the quiet quitting, there's also quiet hiring. And this is done in the guise of career development or development initiatives within an organization. And it can become quite overwhelming. It does, lead to a toxic environment as well at some stage. But it can become overwhelming on people's mental and, physical and emotional well-being as well.
Very true. And as AI is taking over, or predicted to take over about 40% of jobs, the soft skills of managers become so much more important than it was in the past. And jobs like psychologists and people like that, wellness. So I think one need to acknowledge it. And really, the new normal is also to not only focus on the financial performance or the measurable deliverables, but also to the well-being and the wellness of your workforce. That is maybe more important than the physical ability to perform certain jobs. So yes, I fully agree with that. I think my time is up. It's
your
11
time
o'clock.
is up. Unfortunately, Prof, I think that Portia has still had her hand up. I'm going to stop the recording quickly.
Okay.
And Portia, you've got 2 minutes. Let's see if Dr. Koch is